What's up, my friends? Just wanted to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes look at some of the things that I've been figuring out and learning as the Solo Game of the Month series has kind of continued on, and ways that basically we're finding to speed up the process, right? So all the months and months and months of research and talking to manufacturers and project managers, all the different things that were going on last year, it was all theory, right? It was all like, hey, I think we can do this. I think it'll be financially viable. Figuring out ways to ship directly from China around the world to get it to you quickly, and all the different things that were going into, this Solo Game of the Month idea. Being able to use generic boxes. See, I have one around. Here's one. These generic boxes was a huge thing, obviously, and yeah, I'm excited to continue to learn and figure things out and grow. And so, a couple of things. One was figuring out the shipping. So this is similar to the box. This is a later prototype that was shipped to me directly from China just to test, hey, does this work, right? Is this substantial? Does it hold up? Does it protect the games? And even though, it got a little jacked up, we got a little messed up in transit, this is the game that came in this box. It is in perfect condition, and so it did its job. But even still, we went back and thickened this box for shipping. This is part of what is taking Kobayashi Tower a little bit longer to get to you, even though it's like right on the cusp right now of about to ship out. So that's really exciting. But we thickened this box up a little bit, and basically at the factory level, they take these foam padding kind of things, and this is an earlier prototype too. The newer ones go all the way where it's kind of half and half, so it protects the entire game box. And then that just kind of goes in the box there. It gets sealed up and then it gets shipped out. Originally, I was going to use a box similar to this, right? This is actually made to ship VHS boxes and made by the same manufacturer that makes these plastic ones. They make these, and then it's got just enough room inside to put a little layer of foam, and this is what I've been using to send out to content creators. So all the preview copies that I've been sending, they go in this box, and it's worked out really, really well shipping here in the States, not international. And so originally I was like, oh, I think I can use this, but it was a little too thin and just not quite substantial enough for international shipping. But also it was more work intensive because you had to take a layer of foam and kind of like wrap it around, almost like you'd wrap a present, like a Christmas present, and then tape it. And it was just taking too long versus this better system, this newer system, which is literally you just take the game, put the end on it, and then just slide it in the box, right? And then you're good to go, right? Then just tape up the box, send it out. The fulfillment center receives it like this. And then all they do is they slap the label on it, send it out the door. It gets on an airplane. It shows up at your house roughly 1 to 2 weeks later. So that's really cool. That's fine. But then I was talking to my project manager in China at the factory and trying to figure out, okay, what are some ways we can speed up the process, right? What are some other ways that we can kind of shave off a week or two? In a normal situation, shaving off a week or two, not that big a deal. But when you're trying to get games to backers within 4 months, preferably way sooner than that, if you're able to cut off half a month, like that's huge. And so what are some ways we can do that? And so we figured out, all right, one of the things that's taking a while is, they put together the kind of the preview copy for me, right? So they send me a digital layout and they say, hey, here's everything digitally, and I approve that. And then they send me a physical version, right, where you get the cards and the rule book and the printed stuff, so you can kind of look at it and make sure the quality is up to par, and make sure all the dice and everything are correct and all that. But one of the biggest things that was holding it up, was taking a while, was the cards, right? Because the printer has to set up the files, print them, cut them out, and then round the corners, put them through the corner rounding machine. And it doesn't seem like it would take a while, but it just does. It doesn't take that long, to be fair. But an extra 2-3 weeks for all that to happen, and then they ship the kind of manufacturing part. They ship it to the corporate part where the project managers and everybody work, and then they ship it to me. And so it was just taking some time. And so I was like, well, I know the quality of the card, right? We already know that. All the games are going to have the same pretty high-end quality for cards. And so I don't need to see that. Like, I know how it snaps. I know how it feels in hand. And if we use it the same quality from the same factory every single time, then that's not a big deal. And so initially it was like, well, what if we just don't round the corners? Well, that might shave off a few days. Like, oh, okay, don't worry about that. Oh, and then it was like, well, what if we just send you the sheet, right, of the cards without cutting them out? It's like, okay, yeah, we could do that. And then they thought, well, what if we just send you the file that gets put into the machine for the cards? And I was like, yeah, that works. And so that's what they did for Dice and Crusoe. They sent me this kind of big poster almost, right? Here's the fronts, here's the backs, right? And so now I can look at each individual card, make sure the numbers are right, make sure everything's there's no typos. You know, every card front is correct for the card back, because this is exactly what gets fed into the machine that then turns into cards, right? And so it's like, yeah, let's do that. And so Dyson Crusoe has been way faster than Kobayashi Tower, and then going forward, every other game is going to be even faster. So the process is picking up speed. I know the first one has taken a little bit longer. It's going to be about 2 weeks later than that ultimate goal of like 4 months or less, right? It's like 4 months and 2 weeks is roughly what the timeline looks like right now. And so it's like, it's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, figuring all these different things out, and there's been even more little nuances, little tiny things, but figuring all this stuff out to be able to get these games, you know, right after crowdfunding, it goes, you know, into the pre-production and the final file process, and then all the approvals that have to be done, all that, just speeding that process up. Another thing we're doing now is when I send prototypes to content creators, I'm also sending a prototype to the factory in China, so that my project manager, she can look at it and say, yes, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. Here's the number of dice, here's the number of cubes, all this stuff. It all matches up. And so she is able to do one layer of quality control in China that then hopefully finds any mistakes, any issues, instead of, you know, shipping it to me, which takes 7 to 10 days, and then finding things, and oh, we gotta do that again. We're just cutting down little parts of the process. And so I'm super excited. Yeah, like the Dyson Crusoe copy just came in not too long ago. That's not Dyson Crusoe. The Dyson Crusoe copy that came in not so long ago, you know, everything looks really good. You know, being able to see the maps. Now, another thing was, you know, just send it as quick as you can. And so they send the white box kind of version. They send, you know, these are the quality of the cloth, but then the final version will be dyed, right? It'll have that kind of beige, just old school map looking deal. But, you know, that's not something I really have to spend. That's not worth 2 extra weeks. Right? They can send me a picture. They can send me a video and say, hey, here's what the final color looks like. Yeah, it looks great. Right? And my project manager in China, she does an excellent, wonderful job. Really just has an incredible eye for this stuff, a passion for bringing this kind of stuff to life, you know, helping publishers and helping designers. So I am so thankful for her. She is a huge part of being able to do Solo Game of the Month. And I'm just so thankful to have somebody in China that can kind of be on my behalf, your behalf, putting these things together. So anyway, I just want to give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at some things that, you know, I've got going on. I know a lot of you found me originally in the Board Game Design Lab community as far as designing and publishing games, and you're very interested in these kind of ideas and like, what are we doing? And so I look forward to maybe doing some more of these videos and just talking about things I'm learning and ways that I'm growing as far as like my own personal designing, but also publishing and business and all that stuff. So, you know, hopefully this is kind of interesting to you and informative. And if you're interested in doing something similar, then maybe it'll kind of give you some ideas on how to do that, and maybe not make as many mistakes as I have along the way, that you'll be able to get there a little bit faster than I was able to. But anyway, thanks again so much for being part of Solo Game of the Month. Really excited to bring these games to life that we've already done so far, and all the games are just sitting on G waiting on O, you know, and then all of a sudden there's going to be 3 or 4 that show up at your house within a few weeks of each other, I think, is what it's going to turn into be for these first few. But then after that, we'll get into a much more normal cadence as far as the games are coming out and whatnot. But anyway, again, thanks for being part of all this and helping me bring this whole thing to life. Have a good one.
The game's got a vision, wanna play a new game. He's a solo board game designer, ain't that insane? With a pencil and a paper and a coffee by his side, he's gonna make a masterpiece. Let the fun collide. Game's got the rules, he's got the cards, he's got imagination that'll take you far. He's building worlds one by one. His solo games are gonna be so much fun.